What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I want to switch it up a little bit and talk about something that's been a debate throughout the years, going back for many years now, and that is if you're too old to rap or how old is too old to rap. Now, I want to pull something up here and go over some of the pros and the anti, but once I do that, then I'm going to give my personal opinion, which is going to be biased because I personally am too old to rap. So let's get into it. All right. Let's take a little looky here now. So according to this, it looks like at the ripe age of 30, you may be too old to rap, which is interesting because relatively speaking, 30 is it's not very old by any means. But you'd be surprised to these kids and these younger people. They think once you're in your like 20s and definitely by your 30s is you're hella old. So like once you hit your mid 20s, late 20s, you're hella old. Once you're over 30, at some point they're like, man, you're a dinosaur. All right, so let's take a look at some of the things on this list. So first and foremost, for some of the pros of being too old to rap, you have artistic maturity and depth. So this is basically saying that as you get older, you have more life experiences, career struggles, family, relationships, so on and so forth. And I think that that's a great point because with all the music today, I think that there's an avenue for anybody to have whatever kind of build whatever kind of community that they can. And I think to do that, you really have to be your genuine self. And I think that if you have those experiences, especially if you could be a positive role model, because a lot of the popular music today is not like role models and being good leaders for the next generation. So I think if you could leverage your experiences to teach the next generation how to maneuver through life and be a better version of themselves, I think that that could be very powerful. And I think that that's a good point. All right, next on the list, we have success stories, which says many successful artists didn't break through until they were well over 30. Gives a couple examples: Jay-Z, 2 Chainz, Benny the Butcher, and Babyface Ray. I would say this is not a very strong argument just for the simple fact that the majority of artists are not going to blow up and to the same level as these artists. So if you're in your 30s and you're aspiring to be the next Jay-Z, I mean, by all means, but that's not going to be the norm. That's going to be a very small percentage of people. All right, next up, we have fan base alignment. A 30-plus rapper can resonate with a 30-plus audience that wants to hear perspectives relevant to their life stages. This one kind of ties back to the first point as far as leaning into your life experiences. And I think that this is also a good argument. The only challenge with this, though, is for you to actually be able to reach that target audience. And also with the fact that target audience may be a little bit smaller than the general mass appeal of not targeting such an audience. All right, next up, we have ageless art form. Like poetry or other musical genres, rapping is a form of self-expression that is not inherently limited by age. Now, I would say out of all the arguments so far, I would say this is probably the strongest one because I wholeheartedly agree with this, is that if you're passionate about rapping and music, there's no age or no time when you're going to be like, oh, well, I guess that's it. I guess I got to hang it up. If you love doing this and you're truly passionate about it and you want to do it, regardless of what anybody thinks or feels or tells you, the criticism, all the trials and tribulations, you're going to do it. You're just going to do it. I mean, I couldn't imagine a world in which I never pursued this and a world in which I never did it again. I wouldn't want to live in that world. All right, last but not least, we have industry independence. Older artists often have more control over their production and sound and do not need to rely on trendy sounds to find an audience. This, I don't think, is a very good argument because you could have industry independence at any age. And I would say that you should never rely on trendy sounds to find an audience, period. You should only rely on what you like and do what you like, no matter how old or young you are. And as far as industry independence, I think that Nowadays, it's all DIY anyway, so you don't need a label, you don't need a producer, you don't need none of that. You could literally go buy a Focusrite, a $200 microphone, and be up and running tomorrow. So, all right, so let's take a look at some of the challenges of being too old to rap. All right, first up, we have ageism in hip hop. The genre historically prioritizes youth, with many viewing it as a young man's sport, which can lead to unfair perceptions of older artists as irrelevant or corny. All right, let's break that down. So, as far as it being a young man's sport, if you're looking at it from a business perspective, as far as developing talent, then maybe. But I don't know that record labels are really scouting out young talent and developing them nowadays, as opposed to looking for artists that are already having a following on social media and already have kind of their own following in the first place. All right. And then as far as the corny part, I mean, if you're corny, right? That's down to the individual, right? So I'll give two examples. So the first one is if you're an old school rapper and you still got that old school flow, like my name is Dave and I'm here to say, then you might want to step it up and might want to modernize it a little bit. And the second part about that is I seen people that never rapped their whole life and then woke up one day and they're 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever, and suddenly want to start rapping and they want to be the, hey, look at me, I'm hip, I'm cool. And that's corny too. So as far as being corny, just there, yeah, if you're corny, you're corny, right? So don't be corny. Next up, we got disconnect with key demographics. The primary consumers of new rap music are often younger, making it harder for older artists to gain traction in the mainstream market. Now, this goes back to one of the pros as far as leveraging your life experiences to target listeners that are over the age of 30. And this is basically saying that the primary consumers of new rap music are the younger generation. So the pro is also a challenge. All right, next up, we have energy and time constraints. Pursuit of a rap career requires immense time, which can conflict with the responsibilities of family and established careers. Now, I would say that this could be a huge challenge. And that's whether you got kids or a demanding job. You know, you may not want to come home from work, a long day's work, and do what you got to do to pursue your music career. You might just want to go to sleep and just relax. Or if you have kids, especially when they're young, they are very demanding and it's a lot of responsibility. And it, to be honest with you, just drains the life out of you. But on the flip side, if you're a DIY artist and you can make your own schedule, then it might knock back your productivity a little bit, but you might be able to push through it. And, you know, it's a roller coaster with this. So sometimes you might be very productive, at other times you may not be. But it really just depends if you want to pursue, like, you want to be the next Jay-Z, I guess, or if you want to be like the next DIY, you know, do it yourself, home studio, YouTube rapper. All right, next up, we have subject matter misalignment. Older rappers may face scrutiny if they try to mimic the themes popular with young rappers, such as reckless lifestyles or excessive partying, which may seem disingenuous. So I think this is a good point. You definitely don't want to make up raps because you think the young people are going to think you're cool by rapping, you know, the same about the same stuff that they're rapping about. So you want to be authentic, you want to be genuine, and you want to be the best version of yourself. That's not to say that older rappers might not be living those types of lifestyles, but if you're not, then don't rap that you are, because it's just a bad look, and you know, people are not going to take you serious. All right, and last but not least, we have rapid industry cycles. The industry is fast-paced and geared towards discovering new, younger talent, often abandoning older artists quickly. I don't know if this is a strong argument, because ultimately the industry has cycles, and it doesn't matter how old you are. If you're young or old, you're going to be hot today and not tomorrow. So, and that's just how it is. All right. So the conclusion is, the consensus among many modern creators is that you are not too old to rap if you're authentic. And the limiting factor is if you cater to a demographic different from your own. And that's basically what I've been saying. You know, it's like the old saying goes, just be yourself. Don't do this to impress people. Don't do it for the money. Don't do it to blow up. Don't do it to be cool. Do it because you love it and because you have a passion for it. And above all, don't make no whack shit. Well, hopefully this could settle the debate once and for all. But let me know down in the comments section your opinions on Too Old to Rap. Until next time, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. And thank you for tuning in. Peace.